Why hello there. So this video that you're about to watch actually was recorded about a week or two ago. I did a whole video about the Alan Wake remaster leaks that came out. The video actually ended up me speculating around an Alan Wake 2, a little bit about the remaster as well. We've since obviously had the remaster announced during Sony's press conference last week, but the video I think is still actually kind of good and still talks a lot about my excitement for Alan Wake 2 and some of my thoughts around what that might look like, hence why I've decided to keep it just with this little bit here at the beginning. If you guys are excited for Alan Wake 2, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, listen to Past Josh talk about his excitement for Alan Wake 2 and what that might mean. Now, this is not something I thought I'd be making a video about today. Alan Wake potentially being remastered and coming to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series. Do we call them series? I don't even know what we call these things anymore. The Xbox Series consoles. Alan Wake. I thought this series was long dead and gone, especially after what Remedy's been doing with it over the last wee while. But let's rewind a little bit and talk about Alan Wake and what it actually is. Alan Wake is a third-person survival thriller, psychological thriller game that came out in the early 2010s on the Xbox 360. It was actually published by Microsoft themselves as a first-party game, essentially, and developed by Remedy, which was back then a very small, it still kind of is a small studio, but back then a very small studio. The game was exceptional. It played very similarly to a Silent Hill game, except it had just better production quality because of obviously that funding from Microsoft, having both horror and psychological elements, a really good narrative, really good transitions between gameplay and cutscenes, very similar to what you see today from a Sony first-party game. Back then it was very rare to get these high-quality production third-person games. You know, you had your Uncharted and things like that, but this game came out before The Last of Us did. This was way back when. As you know, I'm a massive Silent Hill fan, so this game fitted right up my alley. And this week, or the last couple of days, we actually got a bunch of leaks that the game has been listed on a number of websites for sale on the PlayStation 4 as well as the Xbox Series consoles, hinting at a remake, remaster coming to PlayStation consoles at some point. And this is honestly a pretty big deal. Firstly, it's a big deal because it was an exclusive game published by Microsoft, which means that somewhere along the chain, either Microsoft has decided to publish it on PlayStation, which I guess is not that unusual, or it's being self-published by maybe Remedy or a third publisher, as they've maybe managed to acquire the rights back to Alan Wake themselves, so that Microsoft no longer owns them. I'm incredibly excited to play this game again, especially if it's remastered for the current gen. It was a last gen game, so playing it on the current gen is incredibly exciting to me. I really did adore this game. It was a massive fan favorite of mine on 360. One of my favorite games that came out the whole 360 generation, just because it scratched so much that edge of Silent Hill, which I loved on the PlayStation 2. Now, a lot of you might still be scratching your head and being like, so why should I care? Well, Remedy, they're the guys who made Control, a game that I think most of you have probably played because it was free on PlayStation Plus this year, and it's one of the really highly rated games that came out on the PS4 over the last generation as well. They also worked on a game on the Xbox One called Quantum Break, which honestly wasn't that good. We don't really talk about that one, probably because of more publisher meddling that wasn't necessary, kind of ruined that game a little bit. It was high production, it was good, it just didn't quite land the way we'd hoped it would. Quantum Break, maybe we scratched that from Remedy's record at this point. But if you did enjoy Control, I can guarantee you'll enjoy Alan Wake because there's a lot of similar vibes across the two of them. Alan Wake probably leaning a lot more towards horror rather than sort of paranormal thriller, but Alan Wake having a lot of paranormal horror elements in it as well. So I guess this comes into question, like, what is this and when's it coming? So my best guess is if it's a remaster of a game, these things don't tend to have a lot of time to sort of marinate. They generally get announced and then kind of come out. And if they're on retailers' websites already, it means that it's probably kind of imminent. I would say you'll probably see this releasing on the PlayStation 4, PS5, and then Series consoles over the next couple of months. Maybe the next 1 to 2 months, I would assume. Otherwise, it could be just a shock drop that appears on the PlayStation Store and it's just available to purchase at some point. But why would they be doing this? That's the bigger question. Why release this game now when it's over 10 years old? It's very unheard of and probably not a franchise that a lot of people even remember that well, unless you're a massive Alan Wake fan. And my best guess is that there is probably an Alan Wake 2 on the horizon. That's what I think is going to happen here. So I'm thinking what they'll probably end up doing is they'll announce or reveal an Alan Wake 2, probably coming out over the next 2 years, maybe 2022, 2023, I would say. Normally those big AAA games take a couple of years to release after they've been announced. It's generally the trend. I would assume they're going to announce an Alan Wake 2, and then they will say, we've also got Alan Wake Remastered, which is coming out next month or something like that. That's what I assume is going to happen here. Who knows when that announcement will happen. What I think is going to be more interesting is who ends up publishing this game. Is it going to be a Is Alan Wake 2 going to be self-published by Remedy? Are they going to do what they did with Control and do it themselves? Are they going to go through a third-party publisher and publish it that way? Or will they be going to one of the big two? Will they be going to Microsoft or Sony to publish this game? And I think that's what creates an even more interesting conversation. If Microsoft end up publishing the game, will Alan Wake 2 come to the PlayStation 4 or the PS5? Well, my assumption is yes, given we've seen Alan Wake Remaster coming to the PlayStation 4. So I'd assume that it is going to be coming to the PlayStation consoles, which is cool. And Microsoft aren't a stranger to publishing their games on Sony consoles. They've done it with a number of games up till this point. What could be more interesting though is that Sony is publishing the game as a second-party game, similar to what they're doing with Deathloop and a couple of other Sony second-party titles that we've seen in the past, Death Stranding, things like that. Maybe they're working really closely with Remedy to publish the game themselves, and then it brings into question, will that then come to Microsoft? There's a bit of irony in that, given the first time this game came out, it was an exclusive. The remaster is obviously coming to everything. And then Alan Wake 2 could potentially be a PlayStation exclusive, so it falls all the way onto the other side of the fence. I think that's probably unlikely. I think we would have probably heard a little bit more rumor about PlayStation working more closely with Remedy up until this point if that was going to be the case. But it's kind of nice to speculate on that as well. Either way, it's a win-win-win. We're potentially getting Alan Wake Remastered, and it definitely puts more fuel on the fire of an Alan Wake 2 coming out or being revealed or teased. On a side note, I'm genuinely surprised that Sony didn't go and buy Remedy. They may have actually done it behind the scenes or something and we just don't know about it yet, but I'm very surprised they haven't gone and bought that studio. I think there's a lot of talent there, especially after seeing Control and how well Control was made and how well it fitted into the traditional Sony formula of game making as well. I do feel like there is something there that Sony is missing, and if Sony don't do it, I imagine Microsoft will be pretty quick to grab this one up at some point as well, unless they're just not prepared to sell. But I think money talks, so I would assume they'll end up selling to one of the big two eventually, and we'll see Remedy being an exclusive developer for one of these two massive platform holders and publishers. I do think it's going to be Sony. I feel like it fits in with their repertoire a lot better, but that could also be an incentive for Microsoft to get it. I have no idea. I'm rambling at this point. Are you guys excited for Alan Wake Remaster or an Alan Wake 2 announcement? What do you guys think of the leaks that have come out about this Alan Wake 2 or Alan Wake Remaster? And are you as excited as me? Did you play it originally? Did you enjoy it? If you did, let me know in the comments down below. Really curious to get everyone's thoughts on that. And let's stand by and find out when this thing is dropping. All right, talk to you soon. Patreons for September. I want to give you a warm thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to each and every one of you for keeping all the lights on here at Platinum Trophy HQ by supporting me either via Patreon or by a channel membership below. You will see your names over here next to me if you are a Patreon or a channel member. Thank you each and every one of you. If you also want to support the channel and help keep the lights on over here, you can do that by hitting the link in the description down below and joining me on Patreon, or clicking the join button on YouTube just down below, and you get access to emotes and some other exclusive things there as well. Every single cent counts. Thank you all for the encouragement and continuing to support this channel so I can continue making great content. Thanks for all those watching, as well as all my extra special supporters.